We're about to break down the NFL playoff picture. Before we get into that, we will be live for not just the upcoming NFL playoff games, but the college football playoff games on Tuesday and Wednesday, plus beyond in the semis and the finals as well. Hit that sub button for more free videos if you haven't already done so. Let's break down the NFC and AFC playoff pictures. Just 2 spots open, 1 in each grouping. As of right now, the Vikings have the number 1 seed only because the Lions have not yet played on Monday Night Football against the 49ers. The Lions would take the number 1 seed if they win. As we'll get into, that result for Detroit doesn't actually matter for playoff picture stuff. Eagles are locked in the 2 seed. Rams have clinched the division. The Bucs and Falcons fighting for the final spot in the as the NFC South winner. Commanders, Packers locked into playoff spots, but fighting for seeding. In the AFC, lots of things already have been settled here. Chiefs are your 1 seed. Bills are your 2 seed. Texans are your 3 seed. Pittsburgh or Baltimore will be your 3 seed. Steelers, Chargers are also locked into playoff spots. Denver and technically Miami and Cincinnati are all alive, still in the playoff hunt. Let's go back to the NFC more in depth here. We begin with the Minnesota Vikings, the tentative number 1 seed. Depending on when you're watching this, that might have changed based on what happens in the Lions game. Doesn't matter in the end, that Detroit game. Lions, Vikings, Week 18, Sunday Night Football. The winner clinches the number 1 seed and a bye, and the loser falls down to the number 5 seed. Well, they will take on the winner of the NFC South, by the way. So a lot riding in that Week 18 game for Minnesota and Detroit. In Philadelphia, they have locked up the number 2 seed. In fact, they are locked into the number 2 seed. They have nothing to play for in Week 18 outside of maybe Saquon Barkley going for the rushing record, which we'll see how much they push for that. They blew out Dallas, locked up that 2 seed. With the way the Vikings game turned out, Philly's locked into that seed, cannot go any higher or lower. Now, the Rams have clinched the NFC West, and at least as a result have clinched the number 4 seed. They are still in play for the number 3 seed, however. Here's how they secure that. They get that with a win over the Seahawks or a Bucs loss against the Saints. That would impact who the 4 seed is, but it would secure the 3 seed for LA. The Bucs are once again back in control of their future, their destiny for the final NFC spot to win the NFC South. Here are the scenarios. Step 1, they win against the Saints or the Falcons lose against the Panthers. That would get them the number 4 seed. A win, no matter what, against a struggling Saints team secures the number 4 seed for Tampa. Now, if the Rams also lose against the Seahawks and the Bucs beat the Saints, that would boost them up to the number 3 seed. It's possible, but the Rams are almost a touchdown favorite against Seattle this week. And the Lions, for now, have the number 5 seed. They would take back the number 1 seed for the time being, but the Week 17 matchup is inconsequential for the playoff seedings here. Winner of Week 18 gets the number 1 seed and the bye. Loser is in the 5 seed. So who gets that number 1 seed? Let me know in the comment section of today's show, the pinned comment, actually, of today's video. It is V for the Vikings, L for the Lions. V or L, go both the pinned comments of today's show. Let's go to the other wildcard teams here. The Commanders. They took care of the Falcons in overtime. That has clinched at least the 7 seed. They are in a playoff spot no matter what, but there is room for more. They can get the 6 seed with a win over the Cowboys, who are not playing for anything either, or the Packers lose against the Bears. It is the Commanders and Packers locked into the 6 and 7 seeds in some order, but the order to be determined. Now, both these teams will play at 1 p.m. on Sunday. The Packers have the Chicago Bears. They have also, again, clinched at least the number 7 seed. And if you're good at doing if, thens, and or scenarios, you know what it takes for them to get the 6 seed. Packers win against the Bears, and the Commanders lose against the Cowboys. Commanders win, Packers lose, doesn't matter. The Commanders get that 6 seed. That leaves the Falcons as the only NFC team not currently in the playoff picture who is still alive. Now, they are still alive, but they need help to get the number 4 seed, to get the NFC South. The Falcons have to take down the Carolina Panthers. They have to win that game. 1 p.m. will be the same time as the Bucs game to avoid the whole we thought we were playing for something and now we're not. Falcons win against the Panthers and the Bucs lose against the Saints. Bucs are going to be pretty heavily favored, so it'll be dual watching for the Falcons going on in that matchup. Who wins the NFC South this year? B for the Bucs, F for the Falcons. That overtime loss is going to sting pretty badly. Let me know in the comments section who you think wins. B for the Bucs, F for the Falcons. And while you're down there, click the link at prizepicks.com/CLNS. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. I am a big fan of the flex play because the flex play means we can get one wrong when Jack and I are crowdsourcing our heaters and not be cooked, because we would have been cooked if we'd taken the power play on Hunter Henry revenge game more than 42.5 yards. Didn't happen. Rico Dowdle did get more than 63.5 yards on the ground. Now we just need Jared Goff more than 265.5 on Monday Night Football to secure the win on this PrizePicks slate. Download the PrizePicks app today over at prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. That's prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS. There is not a lot in play for the AFC. Frankly, it's been kind of a boring playoff picture this year. One of those years where, hey, if you had 6 teams, you'd have a lot more drama, but the expanded playoffs have changed things there. The Chiefs have nothing to play for against a Denver team that does have everything to play for in Week 18. The Chiefs have clinched the #1 seed. They have clinched a bye, and we all presume they will not be playing their starters in Week 18 against a Denver team that must win in reality to probably make the playoffs this year. The Bills also have nothing to play for outside of Josh Allen MVP. Hopefully, for fantasy purposes, if you have a Week 18 championship, they tell you if you have to play Josh Allen or not, or if they're going to play Allen or not. They are locked in the 2 seed no matter what happens against the Patriots, who also can clinch the #1 seed with the loss, or #1 pick with the loss, excuse me. So that game, how much effort's going to be had, I'm not sure. Who do you think is the best team in the NFL right now? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Current 3 seed, thanks to some success of late, is the Baltimore Ravens. A hilarious win over the Texans on Christmas. They play the Browns in Week 18. Now, they have already clinched at least the #5 seed. They clinched the AFC North and a 3 seed. If they beat the Browns, last I checked, they were like 17-point favorites. Something absurd, which I had to double check because I'm like, is that a typo? That's one of the largest spreads I've ever seen in an NFL football game, even with Week 18 nonsense in there. It's crazy. Or the Steelers lose against the Bengals. Ravens are big favorites. Bengals are actually favored on the road as well. We'll talk about them in a little bit. The Texans are locked into the 4 seed. Nothing to play for against the Titans team that can clinch at least the #2 pick. So that game could be kind of boring as well. They are locked into that 4 seed. The Steelers, they host the Bengals, Week 18, 8 p.m. Saturday. They will know by that game whether or not they are fighting for a division title or if they are trying to secure the #5 seed. They clinched the 3 in the AFC North with a win against the Bengals and a massive upset by the Browns against the Baltimore Ravens. Now they can secure the 5 seed going into this game by beating the Bengals, or if they lose that game, a Chargers loss against the Raiders. So who wins the AFC North? Feel like it's pretty obviously the Ravens there, given the spreads, but chaos happens in the NFL. R for the Ravens, S for the Steelers. Let me know in the comments of today's show. Now, the Chargers have clinched at least the #6 seed. They are in the playoffs, and they play the Raiders in Week 18. Now, I will say, assuming, well, I guess it plays out this way no matter what, so it's fine. They can clinch the #5 seed with a win against the Raiders and a Steelers loss against the Browns. They do need both of those things to happen to secure that spot. Otherwise, they might not be playing for anything in that afternoon window on Sunday. This is where there's some semblance of drama, which might be sorted out before kickoff of some of these games. Denver, because of their overtime loss in a crazy fun game against the Bengals, they can clinch a playoff spot now with a win against the Chiefs. Now, if they do not win that game, they need help. Now, they would need losses by the Dolphins and Bengals. The Dolphins are still alive. This is the Dolphins' path to the playoffs. If the Dolphins beat the Jets and the Broncos lose against the Chiefs, the Dolphins are in the NFL playoffs. At that point, the Bengals game doesn't matter. Miami has the tiebreaker. The Bengals are still alive, and we'll know the Bengals' outcome on Saturday. Bengals lose against Pittsburgh, they're out. It's just the Dolphins and Broncos games that matters. If the Bengals beat the Steelers, if the Dolphins lose against the Jets, and the Broncos lose against the Chiefs, which we'll see about that one. Denver's an 8.5-point favorite right now. Miami's a 2.5-point favorite. If those three things happen, the Bengals sneak on in the postseason and probably become a team that you don't actually want to play, by the way. Denver, if even if they lose, if the Dolphins and Bengals both lose, they're in anyway, but just take care of business against the Chiefs backups, all Denver has to do. They are 8.5-point favorites. That should seem pretty favorable on that front. So, still alive technically, but a lot of help needed from Miami and Cincinnati to sneak on in.